Everyone knew what was supposed to happen in the movie scene. They knew something would burst out of John Hurt's chest because his line was "Oh my God." Hollywood originally wanted Meryl Streep for the role, but the studio didn't believe people would want to watch a woman fight monsters. Then Sigourney Weaver walked in and changed movie history forever. After 4 Alien films, she walked away from the franchise that made her famous. Now at 75, she's finally revealing the disturbing truth, the failed clones, the FBI threats, and the dark secret that made her turn down millions to return. Sigourney Weaver was born Susan Alexandra Weaver on October 8, 1949. Her family was already famous. Her father, Pat Weaver, was a major figure in television. He created The Today Show and The Tonight Show. Her mother, Elizabeth Inglis, was an actress who appeared in the 1935 film The 39 Steps but left acting to raise her family. Sigourney also had famous relatives. Her uncle Doodles Weaver was a comedian, and her godfather was Steve Allen, the first host of The Tonight Show. Even with all that fame around her, Sigourney often felt lonely. Her parents were busy, and she once said she felt like a little girl in a big house with no one to talk to. Instead of using her family name to get ahead, she focused on her education. She went to Stanford University to study English literature. She lived an unusual college life. She stayed in a treehouse with her boyfriend, played the flute, and wore elf costumes for fun. She acted in school plays like A Streetcar Named Desire but didn't take acting seriously at first. That changed after she graduated and went to Israel to work on a farm. There, she realized she missed storytelling and decided to apply to Yale School of Drama. Yale was tough. Her classmates included Meryl Streep, who often got the best roles, while Sigourney was cast as old ladies. One professor even told her, "You have no talent, you should leave." But she didn't give up. She worked harder to prove them wrong. At 14, she decided to change her name. She found the name Sigourney in The Great Gatsby and thought it suited her tall, unique personality better. She was already 5 feet 11 inches by 6th grade and often teased for her height. Changing her name gave her confidence, and later, it helped her career. Some casting directors thought Sigourney was a man's name, so they were surprised when she showed up. That surprise helped her get noticed. At Yale, things got better when she met fellow student Christopher Durang. They both felt like outsiders and started writing strange, experimental plays together. In one play, Titanic, 1976, she played a woman who kept live animals inside her body. It was bizarre but showed how fearless she was. Later, they created another play called Das Lusitania Songspiel, which mocked war and greed. It was wild and shocking. She smashed champagne bottles and sang about money. Critics called it punk theater. When it came time for her final performance at Yale, instead of doing a serious monologue, she performed a comedy piece about a woman seducing a refrigerator. Her professors failed her for it, but Durang secretly gave her script to agents, which landed her first off-Broadway role. Before Alien, she was part of New York's strange, creative theater world. She and Durang kept experimenting, performing plays with puppets, political jokes, and absurd ideas. Her first film role came in Annie Hall, 1977. She appeared for only 6 seconds, wearing a trench coat next to Woody Allen and Diane Keaton. She joked later, "I made $50 and spent it on a sandwich." But that small moment mattered. The casting director remembered her and later suggested her for Alien. That connection changed everything. When Alien came out in 1979, Sigourney Weaver's life changed forever. The original script didn't even specify that the main character would be a woman. When director Ridley Scott decided to make Ripley female, it was a huge risk. Weaver was only 29 and unknown. The studio wanted Meryl Streep or Glenn Close instead. But when Weaver auditioned, her strength and calm intensity stood out. She played Ripley as a capable survivor, not a helpless victim. Even though the role made her famous, Hollywood didn't treat her fairly. She was paid only $35,000, while her co-star John Hurt made $250,000. The studio didn't believe a female action hero could work. But Ridley Scott made her train with real Marines to look strong and confident. Audiences were shocked when the male captain died first and Ripley survived. That twist made her a legend. In 1987, her Oscar nomination for Aliens shocked Hollywood. Science fiction wasn't taken seriously at the time. Oscars usually went to dramas or romances. But Weaver's performance was unforgettable. She played a strong, emotional, protective woman who fought monsters and saved a child. Even though she didn't win, Marlee Matlin did. For Children of a Lesser God, Weaver's nomination helped open doors for women in action films. 2 years later, in 1989, she made history by winning 2 Golden Globes in one night, one for Gorillas in the Mist and one for Working Girl. No actor has ever done that since. She completely transformed for Gorillas in the Mist, living among real gorillas and even getting sick during filming. In Working Girl, she played a ruthless boss, showing her incredible range. After all that success, she refused to be typecast as just an action star. She turned down major roles in Total Recall and The Silence of the Lambs because she wanted to try different types of characters. She played emotional, dramatic roles in The Ice Storm and Death and the Maiden. Still, Alien kept pulling her back. When she returned for Alien 3, she demanded a story with meaning, not just another sequel. But the production was chaos. The script was changed repeatedly, sets were destroyed, and the studio interfered constantly. Young director David Fincher clashed with the studio, and the experience nearly ended his career. Weaver also faced battles of her own. She shaved her head for the role, even though the studio wanted her to wear a wig. The makeup caused painful allergic reactions, and she fought to make Ripley's death meaningful. When the studio used sexist taglines and removed her producer credit, she called it cheap and insulting. She said the experience left her emotionally drained and angry at how women were treated in Hollywood. In 1997, she returned again in Alien, Resurrection, but this time she played a clone, Ripley 8, part human and part alien. The movie was strange and dark, and she loved it. Her character was stronger, faster, and more animal-like. In one haunting scene, she found failed, deformed clones of herself begging for death. It was heartbreaking. One of the film's most famous moments happened by accident. Ripley throws a basketball over her shoulder without looking and makes the shot perfectly on the first try. The crew went crazy, and Ron Perlman shouted in shock. That real moment became legendary. Even though critics didn't love Resurrection, Weaver defended it. She said Ripley had changed and so had she. It wasn't about being the same hero, it was about evolution. When Alien, Resurrection came out, people hated it, but over time, fans started to appreciate how wild and strange it was. The movie had some truly bizarre scenes, like a human xenomorph hybrid with big creepy eyes, and a scientist who treated the aliens like pets. Sigourney Weaver completely embraced the madness. She had outrageous lines like, "Who do I have to, bleep, to get off this boat?" And in one scene, she even licked blood off Winona Ryder's face. Weaver later said she loved how weird it was and respected the director's bold vision. Some scenes worked really well, like the terrifying underwater chase where the aliens hunted the crew through flooded tunnels. But other moments were ridiculous, especially the one where the hybrid alien gets sucked into space through a tiny hole, which critics called one of the worst CGI scenes ever. Weaver admitted the film had its problems but said she didn't regret doing it. "It's not Alien, but it's something," she said. After that, she made sure Ripley's story wouldn't be turned into a cheap action franchise. That's why she refused to appear in Alien vs. Predator in 2004. She thought the idea was silly. "It's like making Jaws fight Godzilla," she joked. She had already asked for Ripley to die in Alien 3 because she didn't want the character to be brought back just for money. When Fox made AVP anyway, she was furious. She believed it ruined Ridley Scott's plans for a proper Alien sequel. Even years later, she never changed her mind. She wanted Ripley remembered as a true sci-fi hero, not a commercial product. Still, Weaver found a way to bring Ripley back, but on her own terms. In 2014, she returned to voice Ripley in the video game Alien: Isolation, which followed Ripley's daughter, Amanda. She even reunited with the original cast to record special scenes that recreated moments from the first movie. She said she loved it because it focused on fear and survival, not action. "This is the sequel Alien 3 should have been," she said. Fans were shocked she agreed to do it since she had turned down so many Alien projects. But she explained that video games allowed Ripley to exist without Hollywood interference. At 61, Weaver did something unexpected. She played a 14-year-old Nausicaa girl named Kiri in Avatar: The Way of Water. There was no AI or digital voice trick, just her acting. Director James Cameron wanted her to move and think like a real teenager, so she trained, climbed, and even acted awkward on purpose. To prepare, she read her old teenage diaries and worked with movement coaches. For 13 years, fans wondered who Kiri's father was. Some thought he was human, others believed he was a Nausicaa warrior, and a few even suspected Pandora's goddess Iowa. Weaver helped shape Kiri's deep bond with nature, and one underwater bonding scene wasn't even in the script. It was her idea, and Cameron loved it. At first, people laughed at the idea of a 61-year-old playing a teen, but she proved them wrong. The visual effects team made her look younger, but all the movements and emotions were real. Later, she took on a very different kind of role in Marvel's The Defenders. She played Alexandra Reed, a 500-year-old villain who stayed alive by stealing organs. Weaver wanted her to be calm, smart, and quietly powerful, not a typical comic book villain. In one chilling scene, Alexandra poisons someone's tea. It felt straight out of Shakespeare. Marvel didn't want her character to die so early, but she insisted. Later, leaked emails showed Kevin Feige wished he had cast her in Eternals. In 2013, she returned to Broadway after 20 years to star in Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike, playing a washed-up actress. She threw herself into the chaos. One night she tripped over a rug and accidentally broke her co-star David Hyde Pierce's rib. She insisted on doing all her own stunts, even when her costumes malfunctioned. Once, she got stuck in a wig net during a scene. Audiences loved her energy. During one show, she went off script for 7 minutes, ranting about 1980s soap operas. The playwright liked it so much that he added it to the play. The production nearly ran out of money because Weaver demanded real vodka for her on-stage drinks. Her wildest moment came when she performed a matinee while secretly sick with COVID-19. She later said she just channeled Masha's madness and powered through. In Galaxy Quest, Weaver had fun poking at her sci-fi legacy. She played Gwen DeMarco, a parody of the female space characters who were often given useless roles. One scene, where Gwen complains about the ship's random death traps, was her idea. She got it after thinking about all the plot holes in Alien 3. She even improvised a few lines during the rock monster chase, which almost earned the film an R rating because of her language. Her torn costume became an ongoing joke. She kept ripping her sleeves on purpose to make fun of how impractical women's outfits were in sci-fi movies. The iconic line by Grabthar's hammer actually came from an old Saturday Night Live sketch about one of her failed Broadway plays. In Ghostbusters: Afterlife, her 37-second cameo as Dana Barrett meant more than people realized. Her short scene with Bill Murray wasn't just fan service, it hinted that Dana was secretly helping fund the new Ghostbusters team. A cut line even suggested she helped rebuild Phoebe's proton pack. Weaver changed another line to hint that Dana might have psychic powers. She refused aging makeup, saying, "Dana survived Gozer, she's earned her wrinkles." Originally, she was supposed to fight Zol again, but Weaver refused, saying Dana should be the calm one this time. Sigourney Weaver and her husband, Jim Simpson, have been married for 40 years, which is rare in Hollywood. They met in 1983 at a theater festival where he was bartending. She was dating someone else then, but later invited him to a party. He stayed to help clean up, and that small moment led to their first date. 3 months later, on October 1, 1984, they got married. She called it a leap of faith. They had one daughter, Charlotte, born in 1990. Charlotte, who now goes by Char, is non-binary and works as a professor at Columbia University, focusing on AI and digital storytelling. Weaver struggled to balance motherhood and her career. While filming Avatar, Char was applying to college, and Weaver said the stress nearly broke her. Despite being a huge star, she chose a quiet life in New York, enjoying hiking and staying away from Hollywood drama. She faced challenges early in her career because of her height. At 6 feet tall, she was often rejected for roles because she towered over male actors. She once joked about painting shoes on her feet to look shorter. Her daughter doesn't care much about her fame either. When someone mentioned Alien, Char said, "That goes in the little box of things I don't need to know." Weaver has always been passionate about important causes. She works with the American Heart Association to raise awareness about heart disease, reminding people that it kills more women than all cancers combined. She also supports abortion rights in starting Call Jane, 2022, a film about an underground abortion network. She said its message is more important than ever. For more than 30 years, she has also been a leader in gorilla conservation, continuing the work of Dian Fossey after Gorillas in the Mist. She leads the Dian Fossey Gorilla Fund and has won many awards for her environmental work. Weaver often takes bold stands, even when unpopular. In 2025, when climate activists interrupted her play The Tempest, the audience booed, but Weaver defended them, saying their message fit the play's theme. She hasn't spoken much about her own pay inequality, but her success paved the way for women in action movies. Viola Davis once pointed out that actresses like Weaver earn far more than black actresses, saying, "I get a tenth of what they do." Weaver herself earned only $33,000 for the first Alien, but years later, with Avatar, she made millions. She also supports other women in Hollywood, backing films like Prayers for Bobby about LGBTQ+ issues and helping younger actresses like Elizabeth Banks. Outside Hollywood, she's been a UN Goodwill ambassador for years, speaking out on climate change, deforestation, and plastic pollution. She also works to fight addiction stigma and supports refugee rights. During COVID-19, she even turned her New York apartment into a meeting space for young climate activists like Greta Thunberg. In 2015, she risked arrest while protesting the Keystone XL pipeline, saying, "Silence is complicity." For Sigourney Weaver, activism isn't a hobby, it's who she is.